Welcome to Life So Far. I'm Rich Bryant and I sit down with everyday people from all different backgrounds to hear the wisdom and stories from their life so far. Thank you so much for stopping by and I really hope you enjoy this next conversation. So great to chat, Soph. It's great to be sitting down and chatting to you. So thanks for being a part of Life So Far.
Yeah, thanks. It's, exciting.
Yeah, thanks for being a part of it. So we might as well jump straight in.
Yeah.
What has been the best piece of advice you've ever received?
First thing I thought of was something my mum's always said, which is start how you mean to go on.
Start how you mean to go on.
Yeah, I think it was something that her grandmother kind of taught her as well, which I don't know, but I thought it was really, it stayed with me and I think it's kind of helpful for me. I think just for my personality, like I think follow through is not a particularly strong suit of mine. So I think starting how I mean to go on has meant that I'm not trying to like tackle something too big or throw too much of myself into it that I can't sustain. I don't know, it's kind of an intentional practice, which I really like. And it kind of, something else that's kind of flows on from that has come up in the last couple of years is stay the course, which I think, I don't know, I heard Tim Hanna preach it in a sermon and then I think I've heard Phil talk about it, my father-in-law talk about it as well a bit, like, which kind of, yeah, I don't know, just follows on nicely
Stay
from that.
Stay the course and start how you mean to...
Start how you mean to go on.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I think it's so key. We were just talking about before we started recording that, you know, I think probably you're the same. We have tendencies where you jump into things and but it's not sustainable and staying the course ties in really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think like starting how I mean to go on kind of is more about like me not taking on too much that I can't sustain, and choosing to start sustainably, but staying the course is also kind of like trying to like follow through and finish the things that I have started intentionally. Because otherwise, I don't know, even as a kid, like I would just like end up with like craft projects. Like I have all these fun like craft project ideas and then I end up like halfway through unfinished and have all of the stuff and not have the end product that I was excited about. So I think in the same way as an adult that can also still apply.
Definitely.
That to things that I try and tackle.
Yeah.
So yeah, just staying the course and more than just craft projects, more like just seasons, I guess. Like jobs that I'm in or learning that I'm trying to tackle or
even like I've found that because I was exactly the same. I had that many car models and boat models that end up with like a car with 3 doors and Mum would be like, why aren't you finished? I'm like, I'm bored. And she's like, you can't have a car with 3 doors. But I found that I've had to, even in like friendships and things like that, you know, it's totally different, obviously, a car model or a craft project to a friendship, but that mentality is the same. You know, there are times where it's hard or you go, I'm a bit over this.
Yes.
And there definitely are times where it's healthy to break off a friendship. But I think in this world of constant distractions and new things, staying the course is a pretty incredible piece of advice for us all, really.
Yes. It is a humbling piece of advice to myself.
Yeah. What has been your greatest struggle?
Staying the course. In particular, I think when I was newly out of school / we just moved to Brisbane, I started a job and I was in it for 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. And that last year was part-time, but prior to that I was full-time and that was like I knew that I needed to be there. I knew that I was learning lots and growing lots as a person. And it wasn't necessarily to do with the job itself, although part of it was. But, just staying in that place, in that job, where I didn't see a future in it. That was really hard, like sinking so much of my days and my effort into something that I didn't see a lot of future in. That was really hard.
Your heart wasn't in it.
No.
You weren't passionate about it.
No.
Yeah.
And I felt like all the effort that I was pouring in wasn't necessarily valued in the way that I wanted it to be valued. Yeah, so yeah, that was a real struggle because what I thought I brought to that job and that organization, which I do still think I brought, wasn't valued and wasn't what they wanted from my job. And so the things that they did value and that they wanted from me as an employee, as a person, they weren't my strengths. And so to stay in that place for years and do that job Monday to Friday, it was really hard.
Tough slog.
It was a tough slog for a
6
long time.
6 years is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I just kind of lived for the weekends and the evenings, and I just don't want to do that again. There's just, you spend too much time working to not enjoy what you do and not see a future in development it doesn't have to be long term, but just in that space. And I wouldn't change it. Like, I learned so much, and I can see how much I grew in my weaknesses and also how much I recognized my strengths, but it was still a really big struggle. And I was younger and I wouldn't want to do it again. Yeah.
But it was a season of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the flip side, what's been the happiest moment of your life?
I think it's been having Zoe join us, my little bub. She's just turned 5 months.
She's so damn cute.
Yeah, she is. Dem cheeks.
Yeah.
They're nearly bigger than her thighs.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so adorable. But I think it's just, I don't know, like sometimes James and I would just like crawl on the floor with her, like on her mat, and just like lie with her, and she'll just like giggle and squeak and roll from side to side and like try and like grab out to us, which is pretty cute. And I don't know, it's really nice. And we're not like doing anything. We don't have any agendas. We're just enjoying each other's company.
Perfect.
It's
and there's
really
that
nice.
kind of, I'm not a parent, but there's that unconditional love, isn't there? Like, is that, you know, you hear obviously when you haven't had children, but you hear stories of kind of like, you know, when you have a child, there's this incredible bond that just happens between you. Is that something that, you know, you've found? Like, is that kind of that, when you say the happiest moment is part of that joy?
I think so. I think partly like it's, you know how like there's people in your life that there's people in my life that I just enjoy the company of. Like, they don't really have to do anything or be anything. I just enjoy them. And sometimes I don't like them because they're annoying or being irritating, but I still love them. And it's kind of like that same thing. And like, really, she's a lot of work right now. She's
quite high maintenance.
Yeah. Apart from just enjoying her company, most of the time she's hard work, just because she's an effort and she can't do anything for herself yet. But it's just lovely, and it makes me really happy. There's nothing she does that makes me like love her less.
Yes. Yeah, that's incredible. Hey, it's a
fun.
beautiful experience to have. So
yeah, it's lots of fun.
Yeah, and
I would recommend.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah,
put on the list.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for having time for people. I want to not be too busy for people. And I think that's a challenge because I have to make time for people and make myself available for people. Like I can't just fill up my life with too much stuff that there isn't time to just stay and be with the people that I'm with at the time.
Yeah.
But that's how I really want to be remembered, as like someone that doesn't just pass by and isn't thinking or moving on to that next thing that's, you know, in the calendar or like on the list. I just want to like be with the people that I'm with.
That's so interesting. It's I was listening to something yesterday with a guy who's his name's Jim Law or Jim Lair. Don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's like a sports psychologist / coach that works alongside some of the biggest athletes, business people, this sort of thing. And he said he always has people that come to him and go, he runs these classes, these big seminars, and people are like, you know, we don't know what our purpose is. We don't know how we want to be remembered. And he says, all right, everybody, we're going to do an exercise, which is we're going to write down the 6 words that you want to have on your tombstone. And, you know, people write them down, and then he gets people to go around the room. And he says every single conference, people are like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe that we all have pretty much the same thing.
Really?
And he says, and these are all people that are trying to achieve, right? So they're business people or sports people. So what you would expect them to say is greatest tennis player, sports person. He says without fail, there are some exceptions that are questionable. But he says we have deeper conversations with these people, but most people, it's I want to be somebody who was a good listener. I want to be somebody, and it's funny that it's not funny that you said that, but it is. It's amazing how we do. There's something in us, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Absolutely. We are like massively relational people. Even if you don't consider yourself a relational person, you're still relational.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I often get trapped into thinking, oh, I'm such an achiever. I want to, you know, I'm all about this. But even as I was listening, before he had said what people did, I was like, what would I put on my tombstone? And it was a bunch of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, it's amazing how there's this kind of one level, which is what we want to be perceived as.
Yes.
But then there's the actual what we want to be in reality.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's part of why I'm doing this, is because I think if I can chat to hundreds of people or whatever, maybe it's 50, it's amazing how people from such different lives, circumstances, totally different personalities, some of these questions I think will be similar and answers will be similar.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to do a matrix at the, you know, and just come up with categories. It'd be some data
someone there we can do
research.
That. Yeah. Someone who loves Excel spreadsheets. Yeah, but
not me.
But I reckon I truly believe that we are all very, very similar in certain ways, and we're although I don't know how, I obviously haven't thought through this, but although we kind of have totally different personalities and goals and we're driven differently, a lot of it is all still coming from the same place.
There's some fundamentals. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to those listening?
Yes, this is going to sound somewhat pretentious, and when someone says it to me, I roll my eyes at them.
We'll see how we go then.
Frequently at uni, frequently we get told to trust the process, which can sort of apply as large or small as you want it to.
No, I love that.
Is why I really like it. And it's been a lot of my key learning takeaways from a whole lot of stuff, and reflection time as well. I just keep coming back to it for some reason. So I would suggest to just trust the process, whatever that process is.
Yeah, unpack it a little more. What is for you? What does trusting the process look like?
Well, it kind of it postures you to approach whatever it is that's happening with a little more ease, a little more letting be what is, not trying to like combat or fight it so much, but still be in it, like with your head and your heart, like your whole self. You can still kind of approach it really front on, but it's less violent, less combating. And I think for me, it's allowed me to, like that whole, if we go back to like that really hard time in my life, like my biggest struggle, just trusting the process of that 6 years and what it would do to me and how I would influence it and how it would influence me, like that brings me a certain kind of peace to, just to take in to life or whatever the circumstance or situation is. Trust the
nothing's
process.
wasted, really, is it? Like no experience is wasted.
Yeah, that's right.
Within reason. Like I'm sure you could play 50 hours of Xbox.
Yeah.
Potentially that's wasting. But
yes.
But you know what I mean? Like even that, in 10 years, that could be something where you go, that I had actually learned from that experience, in that I worked out how much time I had wasted. And trust me, you can have fun while doing that as well. But I think that's really, it's really important, isn't it? Trust the process.
Yeah. And for me, like, again, like it can be as micro or as macro as I think about it. Like in some instances, it's just been like a particular uni class about a particular part of what I'm learning. Like it's just been really applied to that. Like it could be in a counselling session, just trusting that process of coming out, what's going to come out from the client is what needs to come out, and nothing's missed. If something needs to come back again, it will. Like just trusting the process of that counselling safe space. Or sometimes for me, it's been as big as like my whole life, like a whole 6-month season of feeling more ready and confident and able to approach what is next to be approached. Being, I know for me that 6 months was starting to think about how I would tackle prac, but also balancing work and family life and having to make some big decisions there. Like trusting the process in that 6 months meant coming to some more concrete ways to move forward in all of those areas. So yeah, it's really, for me, that advice that I keep coming back to, and what I would suggest is to just trust the process, because my process is going to be different to yours.
Definitely, yeah.
And everyone else's.
Yeah. And that looks differently. But I like how that piece of advice that you've shared ties back to almost the advice that you received, which is the stay the course and start as you mean to finish.
Go on, yeah.
Or start as you mean to go on. And it's cool how kind of it's all informed in that one.
There's a theme.
Yeah.
There's a recurring theme here.
Yeah. And then even like when you think about how you want to be remembered, which is I want to be someone who always had time for people and listen, and not just dashing off because there's something in the calendar, but maybe it's trusting in that process, which is, you know what, right now there is something potentially more urgent, but right now I'm just going to be with this person.
Yeah, because this is the most important thing right now.
And in 20 years' time, there's always exceptions, obviously, but what will be more influential in this person's life, but even my life? Was it me dashing off to my, go and pick something up from the post office? Not that we do that very often. I don't know why I said that. Or is it spending time that could change someone's life, So
Absolutely.
Obviously, life still has to happen. We still have to do things. But
yeah, and that's the balance of it, isn't it?
yeah, it's really cool how kind of, as just we've been speaking, there's all these little themes that have popped up in your life and stuff. So,
Yeah.
So if this has been so much fun, I've learned, as a really close friend, I've learned a lot about you even just from this. So there you go. So
it has been fun.
Yeah. And people listening, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that last conversation. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, it would mean the absolute world if you like and subscribed or left a positive comment. I know you've heard this all before, but these things really do help the channel grow. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next episode.